Hi, everybody. Welcome to Tea Time with Amy and Bev. Good day
Hello.
on our
Good day.
continuation of recording.
Yes.
It's not new to us, it's new to everybody else. So maybe they haven't seen the other videos. Um, in the previous video, you started talking about pictures, and it just, sometimes when we hop on here to do recording, both of us, like, I have no idea what we're gonna talk about. We both grabbed a minor like oracle cards. I believe yours are more on a tarot type of deck. We
They
both
are.
grab card. Now, I don't think we do this on a regular, um, but we both today grabbed cards and had them next to us. So we're like, oh, okay, well, if we need something to talk about, then we'll just grab a card and that'll give us a path. But once we start talking, it just for me, it opens me up to, oh yeah, I experienced that. Oh yeah, I experienced that. And a lot of times Bev and I are having similar experiences in between the times that we are recording. So in the previous video, you started talking about pictures and pictures of your mom who has transitioned, and thinking about the person that you were then and how different you are to who you are today, and looking at those pictures, you're looking at pictures of people who have transitioned, and the previously you might have looked at those pictures and been maybe just full of anger or a lot of sadness, but today looking at them, you're just like maybe overjoyed that you had the experiences with them. And so didn't even think about it, but just yesterday, uh, I had to go through pictures, a few boxes full of pictures, for a particular reason, and going through and like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot about that experience. And some things I didn't remember. I'm just going to be real. I was like, oh yeah, when was that? So, but also in a few of them, I would just pause. I was quickly going through them because I was looking for particular types of pictures. And some of them I would pause and look at them and look at me and be like, wow, wow. And there were so many pictures where I was laughing and smiling. But as I was going through like my healing process, the only thing I could focus on was all the anger I had and all the shame and guilt I had. And I did not hang on to the good memories, the fact that there were moments of joy and things like that when I was in my heaviness. And then looking at those pictures, whew, wow, she was beautiful.
And didn't even know it.
Yeah, she didn't.
No. That's when you say that kind of stuff, and part of me says, why can't we have that experience and with appreciation? Because I did not either. I did not appreciate things. And then we've talked about a long time ago, but what after Jim had transitioned, the girls and I decided to hang up pictures of all kinds of pictures of Jim traveling, whatever pictures we could get of him, because he was always behind the camera. So taking pictures of all this stuff, and it's like I kept thinking that we had nothing but bad times and all this other stuff, and I kept thinking of all this stuff that was negative. And it just goes to show you that people are doing this all over the world. You're
Yeah,
doing the same thing. And then I look back at the pictures, and it's like there was so much happiness and joy. Only thing is, I wasn't present for all of it,
right,
not with my stories.
right.
Now, I might have been in it when I was having it because you could see the smiles, you could see the laughter, you could see it, but I wasn't. We get so caught up in expectations, ego. There's so many different things that are going on all the time, but it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah,
And so maybe it wouldn't be a change for myself because I'm not. I'm where I'm at right now, and I'm loving where I'm at right now. But it could be a difference for our kids, our grandchildren, to recognize where they're at right now and appreciate it. We can't make them do those things, but for them to look back and be able to see, oh man, I remember when I was that happy. I remember being happy like that. I remember that happy time, and I'm still happy. It's all, it's just looking at things differently, but I didn't have those experiences before either. And I was always tuned into And I would only say it's because someone probably told me you've been bad. You need to go sit over there and think about what you did wrong, or all those things. And it's like our focus became on what we did wrong instead of our focus being on all the amazing things that we did, or all the amazing laughter that we had, or I can remember my great grandma Glenn's popping into my mind right now, which is I find strange, and now my grandma Lily is. But it's like it's funny how because because it's their stuff. It was a lot of ancestral stuff, so it was a lot of their stuff that we've been processing and learning from. So I'm kind of going a different direction, even after you just talked about all this stuff. And it's just when we look at it all as a big picture, we have grown so much.
Yeah.
And thankfully, we're doing our life reviews right now, because that's what it seems like. We're life reviewing and looking back at those times. And now we're changing the story that we were telling ourselves,
Right.
because the story was an incorrect story. But that's how anybody can do it. I blamed narcissists about creating their own stories in their heads and stuff, but we all create our own stories. It doesn't have to be labeled under a narcissist. Some of us do it to keep ourselves safe. Some of us do it to make it look like it was better. Some of us do it from an egoic place. Some of us do it from a defensive place. It doesn't matter. But it's just I just know that when we go there, if I can experience it from a higher space, from a loving space, that feels better. Yes. And I didn't look at the picture of Jim and think, oh, I bet you he was drinking. Look at his eyes, because I used to do that. Look at his
Yeah.
cheeks. They're all flushed right now. His eyes are all red and glossy. And you know what I mean? I would go through that process. Yeah, it was great, but your dad was drunk. That would have been the conversation in a lot of times. And it's
Right.
like, that's just a story that I was telling myself. It was not even a true story.
Yeah.
So now my story is to Jim, like, you were beautiful and you were the most amazing man ever. And, I talk to him about these things all the time, because it's a form of appreciation, because I appreciate him enduring me during his human experience, and that he chose to be with me during his human experience. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. And thinking about those joyous moments, and like you said, but I wasn't present. Maybe just in that glimpse I was, but then busy in my head with other things, busy in my head with the life experiences that I had, that I was hanging on to and beating myself up for. And
Yeah.
yeah, so it was amazing to look back on those.
Yeah. The traumas, but to me, that changes the traumas in a lot of ways. And
Yeah.
I do know what you're saying is, I mean, from my perspective, I do know, because I had a lot of stories. I had a lot of stuff that was recycling over and over and over again. It's like I could have turned off the radio at any time. I could have
Yeah.
threw that book away any time, but I chose to stay in that space. But at least I know that I did have happy moments. And that was the thing that I looked at before, because I didn't find them. And it's like, the more that we start asking spirit, show me the happy times that I had growing up, you will be blown away.
Yeah.
Blown away, because I couldn't see any of those things, because I saw, well, I was made to grow up, and I was more adult, and I didn't get to be a child. Well, I get to be a child now as an adult with awareness. What? I don't have to be that child that doesn't have any awareness of any of this stuff. So maybe they're not even appreciating it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got the opportunity to do that now.
Yep. And what a blessing that is
It's a
to
blessing.
so I had two coaching calls yesterday, and both of them, it's so funny when I have clients, especially on the same day, because it ends up similar conversations. Two people that don't know anybody each other, that live in completely different areas of the state, and they have similar things going on. So it's almost like I could have just made a recording and played it for both of them, because it was almost the same conversation. But I was telling them that uh, when we're thinking about manifesting and what we want to set our intentions for, the main thing to focus on is how you're feeling. And I told them, I said, create some kind of a movement in the moment when you feel something in your body that feels joyful, relaxed. You want more, meaning I want more of this. So that's the message to the universe. I want more of this feeling. And the motion I was had explained to him, I said, this is what you could do, but it could be something different. Um, but I would say, you have your hand, but it's down by your leg. And when you feel that, you just kind of just move your hand. Like, to me, it's like, oh, I want more of that. I want more of that. But my hand's down by my leg because it's not an obvious, I'm not going to be talking to somebody and go, oh, I want more of that. It's just going to be down by my leg, like naturally. And I'll just make that hand movement subtly to be like, it's my own internal acknowledgement. Oh, I want that, felt good. I want more of that. And there's a influencer who a business influencer who, when something happens and he wants to acknowledge it, he snaps. I'm like, well, that's kind of, if I was having a conversation with somebody, that to me, that would be a little awkward to be like, ooh, right. So not into the snapping, but just some kind of movement to acknowledge how you're feeling in that moment and that you want more of that, and to let the universe know that, because it sends that signal from your brain to your body to begin to acknowledge that even more, like, wow, this really feels good and I want to experience more of it. And the more of it that you experience, the more it's telling the universe, bring more, bring more, bring more. And then things are so good and feel so good that when you have those moments where it kind of throws you off kilter, maybe you just feel a sense of negativity or sad, something just takes you into your default programming of the way you used to be. You'll be like, ooh, I don't feel good, right? And you acknowledge it super fast, like, ooh, that's no, I don't want to stay in that. I want more of this, some more of this, and start focusing on that. So
I'm glad you brought that up, and I've been talking to people because I've been experiencing it too. When we're going through emotions, that maybe your immediate reaction to some of your emotions that you don't want that kind of emotion, you might try to stop it real quick inside of yourself. I'm not. I'm just really sitting with it and feeling it. I'm not labeling an experience or a person or anything like that, an animal, whatever. I'm not labeling it or trying to put blame on anything else. I'm just going right within and feeling it because that was an opportunity for that to come forward.
yeah.
Now, also being aware of what we're digesting, right? What are we bringing into our experience? What are we watching? What are we listening to? What are we reading? What are we thinking? Like all these things, they're all part of our, it's part of our creativity. All of it is, because we're creating from that space. And sometimes that we're creating from a space that doesn't feel good. And sometimes most of the time, I would say I'm creating from a space that feels better. But I noticed just a couple of days ago, one of my grandchildren was watching something on YouTube with my phone, because I always sit with them when they're watching anything on my phone. So I make sure that it's good stuff. It's not bad stuff.
Yeah.
And he was listening to this one, and it was probably like the third video. And I'm looking over it. I'm like, are you noticing that this is all drama? Are you noticing that every single video is like, oh, it's like all this bad stuff's happening? And he's not noticing. He's like kind of in it. He's like, well, the dog's really missing. I said, but I could feel the dog's really not missing. This was all drama, trying to bring the person in to keep captive audience, right? Because people like that. They like the drama queen, or they like that, not the drama queen, but they like the damsel in distress because they want to come, fix something or help somebody, and they could be the hero of the day and all these other things. Well, by that evening, he was into a place of feeling these feelings that I've never felt. I guess I've never had a panic attack or anxiety or whatever, but he's in this space, not even knowing why he's in this space. And I'm thinking, I'm sending his mom a message like, hey, I don't know what you want to do. And then I had him FaceTime her, and she immediately caught on that the feeling that he was having was anxiety, because she has that. She understands what that feels like. I did not. So I couldn't speak from that experience, not for that exact thing. But then I recognized that watching all that stuff, we don't realize how much this stuff has an effect on us. And I'm talking about an 8-year-old, but he's getting affected by this energy that's creating this drama, not intentionally trying to hurt anybody or harm anybody, but just trying to make some content, getting popular, ego. There's a lot of stuff that's there. And just recognizing, taking the time to notice. And that's why I told him, I said, hey, if something doesn't feel good, if you don't feel good when you watch it, you don't feel lighthearted and uplifted, maybe it's not something you want to put into your diet. If it's making you feel worried and concerned and fearful and all these other things, maybe it's not something you want to have on your plate. So it's like, it was an opportunity, but it goes along with what we were talking about because it is experiencing all that stuff. And it's like, we don't have to stay in that space. We can get up and leave from that space anytime. We can change the channel. We can change the chapter. We can get a new book, you know? And so that's for experiences. And I feel like we just don't realize how influenced we are by everything outside of us because we are feelers. Until people start really paying attention, they may not notice it. I know you notice it. I know a lot of our listeners notice it, but I can tell. I can pick up my grandkids. I can pick up anybody. I picked up my grandson last night and I told my daughter, I'm like, he's nauseated. Like I'm feeling physically nauseated right now because he's got a stomach thing going on him. He's getting at the end of it, but he still has all that. I could feel it. I could pick up my grandson after a baseball game because he wasn't happy with the way he had showed up on that evening. And he was upset and all this cheering. He doesn't want people cheering for him. He doesn't want us cheering for him and stuff. And um, I picked him up and I held him because wouldn't even talk to me. He wouldn't even make eye contact with me because he was just dealing with his emotion and it wasn't about me. But I picked him up and immediately my eyes watered and stuff because I could feel the unhappiness in his heart, the heaviness, the sadness. And it's like, but I also know I can feel those things because I can transmute it. I can take it and I don't have to be the victim to it. I can I can give some relief. I can help him be more grace and ease with learning this process instead of it having to be hard. But all of it's through feeling. And we don't know until you stop to feel. When a friend comes up and gives you a hug, it's like feel the energy that you feel when that person's giving you the hug. Like it's to me, all these experiences that are happening in our life are just bringing us right back to ourselves. It's bringing us right back within. And then we're so much more powerful in that space instead of us being so scattered outside of us. Instead of me being the balloon that I'm carrying outside of myself that's like 10 feet above my head. It doesn't have to be that way. We just reel it back in. So it's like there's been a lot that I've been noticing. And it's like the more that I notice, the faster it's coming through or the stronger it is.
Yeah. And you notice that if you're present. So
It's
that's
true.
one of the things that we'll leave our audience with is practice presence and acknowledge and notice how you're feeling in that moment. How are you feeling in those conversations? How are you feeling when you're watching that program? How are you feeling when you're driving, or how are you feeling when you're just sitting in meditation? Having that self-awareness and recognize, is this how I want to feel right now? If maybe it is something coming up that is a layer of that is wanting to be recognized for some healing, so for some releasing. And you don't have to stay in it, feel it, acknowledge it, do your process, and then right now we can go and have some joyous moments in life. And then at another time, maybe something else will come up and it needs your attention and some healing. And then go experience something lighter and more fun. So it is going to be a continuous process. It it's okay. It's okay with where you're at. It's okay to give yourself permission to feel the feels, good, bad, or indifferent. But you decide which of those do you really want to stay in and relish in and feel on a more continuous basis. To me, it's feeling good. It's feeling lighter. It's feeling relaxed. It's feeling calm. It's being in a responsive manner than a reactive manner. It's being more ease in my life and more flow. So that's my focus. But there are still layers that show up for me too, and I take the time to acknowledge them and do my part. And then it just gets easier and easier and easier. So be in the moment. That which you want to experience more of, do some kind of a gesture to yourself. Maybe it's just touching your finger and your thumb together. Maybe it's that hand movement I showed. Maybe it's the snap. I don't know. But just having, again, just bringing some hyper awareness to how are you feeling in the moment and what do you want more of? Do you have any final words, Bev?
I want to say free yourself, and the freedom comes from within.
Yeah.
So the bondage comes from within. honestly. I mean, there's a lot, I mean, I'm not saying that someone's not having an experience out there or people aren't, but I'm just saying most of our stuff are, we put our own prison walls up.
Yeah.
We haven't stopped to take a look at those pictures and see, see it for really what it was and feel the energy of that, even if it's you.
Yeah. And you what you something I didn't say, I'm just gonna say this real quick. I've been putting off looking at these pictures for like 2 months, going through pictures because I was like, "Ooh, I don't know if I want this stuff to come up for me." But it was it felt way better than what I had in my mind. So I'm glad I did it,
Nice. That's awesome.
and I'm glad I was put in a position where I had to do it. It was with
Yeah.
some, well, I didn't have to, but for the reason of why I was doing it, I kind of had to, and so it put me in a position to have to at least glimpse at all these photos. So I'm very appreciative of that because now I can acknowledge the joy that I actually had experienced that I had forgotten about. So,
Yeah. That's awesome.
all right, my friends, thanks for hanging out with us. Tea time with Amy and Bev. Be courageous, have these conversations, or be resourceful. We are found on many platforms. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Spreaker, Spotify, Podcast Addict. Um, and we appreciate your time and energy. So we hope that you continue to hang out with us. You can give us a like, a follow, you can give us a comment, give us a question. We always respond to your questions and comments. It's not an immediate response, just saying, but we will respond. So, all right, my friends, thanks for hanging out with us, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.